Willie Hudspeth, who has been here to protest this monument for 2 decades. He is here to start his weekly protest, as he does every Sunday, even though they voted to, quote-unquote, remove the monument. Chelsea, since you're not going to speak on that today, I guess I will jump in. Let me leave you with this. Did anybody watch the Commissioner's Court meeting last week? You probably heard me. Until they cut me off. You know, I've never got my full 3 minutes in that courtroom. Not once. Not ever. They always manage to cut me off. I don't know what it is. You go in there speaking truth and people just absolutely lose it. They can't handle themselves. So I want to make sure everyone understands, in case you missed it, they voted to remove and restore and relocate that monument. And they broke it down. They want to take that monument down, invest taxpayer money into restoring it, then invest taxpayer money into storing it, then they want to invest taxpayer money into taking it on traveling exhibitions to other county courthouse buildings, and get this, schools, so they can incorporate it into their Civil War education program. This is the same county historical commission that I just described to you, their version of integration history in Denton. Anybody ever looked at their Civil War lectures or their Civil War presentations for children? Let me give you an example. The African American Museum in our historical park over here, it's an old Quakertown house. It's supposed to be an African American museum for all of Denton County, okay? A tiny one-room house is supposed to contain the entire story of African American development in Denton County, right? Next to that house is next to the Quakertown house is another house dedicated to one white man from Denton County. You go into that house, it's loaded top to bottom, full of artifacts and archives, rich contextualized histories, although there are a few things missing, but that's another day's lecture. And then you go into the Quakertown home, which is supposed to, again, represent all history of African Americans in Denton County. And you know what it is? Poster boards of histories whitewashed and gaslit the same way I explained to you today. They say that Quakertown was removed because of flooding. There's no mention of Klan activity, and when you walk in, they have a coloring sheet there for children. And there's on the back, there's a 5-point list of historical things they think children should know. The first thing it says is that in the late 1800s, a group of black people moved from Dallas to seek better farming land. No mention of the fact that those people were enslaved, that they were escaping persecution outside of the larger city of Dallas. No mention of that. These are the people that want to take that soldier off the top of that monument and take it to local schools to teach about the Civil War. You know who used to do that? Come on, class award. Who used to do the same thing? The United Daughters of the Confederacy, who renamed every elementary school in this town after a Confederate hero, who, when they did that, used that as an opportunity to raise monument funds to pay for that monument. The same women who formed and inspired the second-generation Klan, the same women who were members of the Women's Klan. And these aren't just blanket accusations. I mean, you guys, we have dollar-by-dollar accounting. Mrs. A.P. Turner, who was herself a UDC member, openly promoted in the Denton Record Chronicle that she was hosting a Klan initiation on her property. It wasn't a secret. And now our county officials, I found it despicable. You know why they agreed to vote to move that monument? Because they said it was under threat. The language they used to justify moving that monument was in itself racialized language. Suddenly, this monument that's been protested every week for the last 2 decades actively, that has had 13 different committees assigned to it in the last 2 decades for recontextualization, and yet you'll see there is no new contextualization because there's no plaque big enough. They want to take this monument and they say that they're going to remove it because now it's suddenly under threat. Well, guys, there's only one new thing that's been happening on this square over the last 2 weeks that hasn't happened recently, and what is that? Black Lives Matter. A lot of young black people marching through the streets saying, "Our lives matter." So suddenly, black people increase their presence on the square, and that poses a threat to the monument just by them being here. It's racialized language. It suggests that just the presence and increased presence of black bodies is a threat. It is racialized language. They couldn't even though I have presented them document after document after document connecting this monument's racialized history and connecting the people associated with it to show the truth, they refuse to acknowledge it, and they still sit in there and they say they're going to move the monument to protect it. So while I try to find a little bit of joy in our small victory, I need everyone here to understand that the work is not done, because I'll be damned if I'll stand by and let them take that thing to schools to teach about the Civil War. I don't know about you, but I will be damned over my dead body. I mean, that is not happening. And that means we all have to be present and aware. We have to vote. If you are not registered to vote, you need to go see this man right here before you leave today and register to vote. You need to vote for Sandy Swan for Denton County Commissioner 1. You need to vote for Delia Parker Mims for Denton County Commissioner number 3. And you need to get county commissioners in that building who are willing to be truthful and honest about difficult history. The truth is, true contextualized history shouldn't make us comfortable. It should seem foreign, because we should be progressed from it. If you're reading history from 100 years ago and it makes you comfortable, I don't care what history it is, you should be critical. It should always seem distant and hopefully foreign. So again, guys, the work is not done. While we are going to celebrate the removal of that monument because they did vote to remove it, thank you, Willie Hudspeth, for your 2 years of dedication to that. It is up to all of us to see it through with him and make sure that this monument doesn't make its way to our school children. Because if they're not willing to tell the full story while it stands on our county courthouse lawn, if they're not willing to tell full contextualized histories in their own museums and their own historical park, if they're not willing to tell full contextualized histories on their own websites, they're damn sure not going to do it in our schools. So see it through. Pay attention to language. They're still using racial language in the courtroom today. There are pictures of Klansmen hanging in that courtroom today. There's a lot of monuments to remove. You know, somebody asked me the other day, well, what next? Do we change the name of the city of Denton? I mean, honestly, the city, the county, the creek, the college, yeah. And as a matter of fact, how about we name them Sterling? After Sterling Johnson, the first black man to register in Denton County, who was murdered by the Ku Klux Klan in 1869. How about we name it Sterling instead? So yeah, we're just getting started. So history is important, it matters. Voting is important and it matters. And thank you all so much for coming today, and I hope that you will help see this fight all the way through. Thank you.